Hi everyone, I'm Shannon and I'd like to introduce you to our Vice President of Sales, Frank Craig. Frank has spent some time in the restaurant industry and as a financial services manager before joining us at Wendover. He is here today to share his tips on upselling and cross-selling for the dining industry. Here's Frank.
Thank you, Shannon. Before we get started, I just want to make it clear that this is a no sales zone. What we aim to do is provide helpful information and use my experience in the restaurant industry to better serve you guys. So today we're going to talk about onions and mushrooms, how little upsells turn into big revenue for your restaurant, and why it's so important. So our agenda, we're going to discuss upselling and cross-selling, what it means, why they're important, and how to get your employees to upsell and cross-sell. We're always going to be taking questions throughout, so please don't hesitate to type a question in. We're also going to explain why it's so important for your customer engagement, the upselling and cross-selling. So with a typical order, an order's placed, the server, bartender, is going to ask, would you like to add onions to your steak? We've trained them to always ask for that additional upsell. So if the customer says no thanks, we should be asking, well, what about the mushrooms? Yes, great. So the bottom line is we're always trying to get more. We're trying to upgrade the experience. The better the experience, the more likely that client is going to return. The better the experience, the more likely that server is going to make more money off of that client as well, and the restaurant's revenue. So what exactly is upselling? Well, it's a sales technique whereby a seller introduces the customer to purchase more expensive items, upgrades, or other add-ons in an attempt to make a more profitable sale. So as you see in this picture, you could buy a 99-cent bottle of soda, or you could get them to purchase a bigger sized soda for probably $2.99. What does that savings mean to you as a restaurant? What does that additional upsell mean to the wait staff? Now let's talk a little bit about cross-selling. So cross-selling, in the same situation, an order's placed, the server asks, would you like to try our bruschetta for the table? So now we have to train them a little bit to overcome the objection, which if they say no, okay, great. How about our appetizer sampler? It has a little something for everyone. Or the other outcome is they say yes, great. How about, would you like a side of mussels to go along with that? Remember, the more that you engage that client, the more they're going to purchase, the more revenue the restaurant's going to make, and the more the server is going to make. If we don't recommend these for the cross-sell or the upsell, we're missing out on an opportunity. One, for the customer engagement, and also for the bottom line revenue and the bottom line tips for the server. So cross-selling, it's an action or practice of selling an additional product or service to an existing customer. The objectives of cross-selling can either be to increase the income or to protect the relationship with the client or clients. The approach process of cross-selling can be varied. So for example, if we go out for lunch and we know that you have the best wings in town or the best appetizer sampler in town, we're going to come there and we're going to order that. Now it's the sales or wait staff's responsibility to engage us further. How about a burger? Or maybe I just went for mozzarella sticks. Now they can cross-sell or upsell the sampler for me. So why are they so important? As we covered, bottom line revenue. Higher tips for employees. Employees build positive attitude and builds an experience for the clients. So let's talk about the bottom line revenue in a minute. But right now I kind of want to focus on the build positive attitude. we were recently asked to present to one of our clients, and the focus that they circled was on engaging their employees and having them build a positive attitude. So we thought about it a little bit, and we used our own experience. When we were in the restaurant industry, I knew I did a good job if I walked away with higher tips than my coworkers. How did I go about building that relationship and having a positive attitude? I knew every client that walked in there was an opportunity. I knew if somebody just wanted a burger, I was going to ask them if they wanted a cheeseburger with french fries. Or maybe they came in for a steak. I would ask them if they wanted the ribeye. Would you like mushrooms and onions? I knew if I could engage that client more, my attitude would be better as well. Most wait staffs are very happy on a Friday, Saturday night because you're busy. But it's those other days when we're slower that we really need to get their attitudes and their heads in the game. And by stressing the importance of cross-sell and upsell to their wallet is how you're going to create that positive atmosphere for them. And that positive attitude is going to build the experience with the clients. If you have a happy wait staff or front of the house, the client's going to have a great interaction. It doesn't matter if the ticket times are running behind. If they're building that relationship in that 30 minutes that they're in that restaurant, the clients will come back. So in this example, brand new company in the area. We all know moving's a tough job, right? The employees need to get settled in, learn their way around, find the local hangouts, after hours, everything. The average worker is going to spend an average of $2,000 per year on lunch. That's $70,000 for a 35-person company. Let me repeat that. For a 35-person company with an average spend of $2,000 a year on lunch per person, that's $70,000. We're excluding holiday parties, client dinners. So as soon as a new client enters your area, 100% of that company's dining spend is up for grabs. Now let's say that each company stays in the same location for 7 to 10 years. That means they're going to spend an additional $700,000 on local dining. You need to engage this client and set the right experience on day one when they come in to your restaurant and influence their dining habits. So how do we do that? Well, let's just say an $8.99 addition with cross-sell and upsell. So let's take that $700,000 opportunity. We create an upsell. So they come in and they ask, hey, I'll just take a water. How many of your wait staff is programmed to just say, sure, I'll be right back? Or do they ask, would you like a bottle of water? I'll never forget. I was working at a steakhouse in college, and I had worked during the summer back here in Pennsylvania, and then I went back to Florida and met with the district manager, and he said, okay, you're going to serve me today. Walked up, got 99 out of 100 on the shop. One thing I didn't do was ask about the bottled water. And he goes, why didn't you ask about the bottled water? I said, I didn't know we served it. In Pennsylvania, we don't serve it. But what he had told me was every time you upsell that bottle of water, whether it's $1 or $2.50, you're now getting a certain portion of that bottle of water in your tip. The restaurant now makes this much revenue. So if we just upsell a bottle of water, let's say it's $2.50 per client. We upsell that burger that I was talking about to a cheeseburger. Maybe we add some bacon to it. We cross-sell the soup of the day. And then, of course, a mini dessert. Remember, that's a $700,000 opportunity. We just upsold $8.99. Is this a difficult upsell if somebody comes in for a burger to get a cheeseburger with a bottle of water and maybe a mini dessert? If we create the experience correctly, I don't think that $8.99 additional cross-sell and upsell would be that big of a challenge. So one company's revenue on that 15 person company, total additions, $134.89 per day. Per month, $2,697. And for the year, it's $32,373. How important is that? 1, to the restaurant, 2, to your wait staff to know those statistics. Example 2, if we go back to the 35-person company, $314 a day. Per month is $6,293, and per year is $75,516. Total value with add-ons, $70,000 per year, is now $75,516 per year in upsell and cross-sell opportunities. We do the math, we multiply this by 7 years. Over $1 million is up for grabs. And it all starts with something very simple: engaging the clients and setting that atmosphere that you're going to take care of all their needs, from their appetizer to the dessert. So what is the difference between cross-sell and upsell? I see that someone had just asked that question. What is the difference between cross-sell and upsell, and what happens if we don't have mushrooms or onions? It looks like this is a general manager of a large corporation, and the note there says that we always ask, would you like to upsell a bakery item for an additional 99 cents? Perfect. That is exactly what we're trying to get out of this webinar, is just that $1. What's that going to mean if every client buys that? If every client buys one additional item, it's going to do that add-on. And if we can get the $8.99, you're going to get over $1 million in 7 years. So difference between cross-sell and upsell. Both serve a larger purpose to increase employee productivity and motivation. As we had previously discussed, the higher the bill, the higher the tips. The higher the bill, the higher the revenue. If your wait staff and bartenders are walking out on a Monday through Thursday with smiles on their faces, they are going to be ready when the times are in crunch time. When they're in the weeds, they're going to be ready because they know I have a positive attitude, because if I upsell and I cross-sell, I'm going to get a bigger tip. So, cross-sell. Orders and entrees, and you cross-sell them dessert. To Mary's point with her question about the pastry item for $1. They order a sandwich. Would you like anything from the bakery? For $1. If you're getting a burger, do you want fries? I'll just take a glass of water. How about our bottled water? So orders a burger, you cross-sell them a side of sweet potato fries over the regular fries. Upsell. Again, asking for that water, you upsell them a bottled water. Customer asks for a steak, you upsell them the ribeye with onions and mushrooms. So the cross-sell is you're selling a different product or service. An upsell is they came in for a burger and you got them a cheeseburger with bacon, or the ribeye. So how do we get employee buy-in? That was another question that was asked by Charles. You want to know, how do we get employee buy-in? Everything sounds great that you're saying, but how do we get that wait staff to really buy in? Well, Charles, as we were mentioning, higher check totals equals higher tips. Higher tips equals better attitudes. The better attitudes equals more customers, and more customers equal higher revenue. Right? Did you guys ever go anywhere where you could just tell everyone was miserable? You didn't have a good experience, I'm sure. But if your wait staff or front of the house, your front line is engaged as soon as the customer walks in. Hi, how are you today? It's going to set that whole atmosphere. And restaurants really have this down pat. A lot of salespeople in restaurants, their servers might not think they're salespeople. They are. They're consultants and salespeople. And you guys never turn anyone away. Other businesses out there too. Hey, we're too busy. We can't handle any more work. You guys on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, or during your lunch rush, you guys are always saying, hey, why don't you go have a seat at the bar? We'll be with you in about 15, 20 minutes. Right? And people are going to wait because you're setting that atmosphere up right there. When they go to the bar or they go outside seating while they wait for their table, are we engaging them with, hey, I understand you guys are here for lunch. Can I get you started with a bottle of water, or can I get you started with an appetizer? If we do this and we do it correctly, all of the employees will buy in. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. At the end of the day, most of the people are driven by money. And if you can show them that these two little steps will increase their tips, they're going to do it. You're going to have some people that are going to say this never works. We call them, three types of people. You got your rock stars. They're going to do it without a question asked, and they're going to walk out of there with the most tips at the end of the night. Everyone else will say, oh, well, it doesn't matter. They're always going to be the star. Then you have the survivor. They're going to do it. They're going to probably put up a little bit of resistance saying, I don't know if this will work. But then they'll have success and they'll continue doing it. You have the victim that'll tell you it doesn't work, and they'll never do it. And then they'll wonder why everyone else is having success. But if you can get to that victim and you can show them this simple thing right here, hey, if we do this, over the course of that one business's relationship, we can increase by $1 million. What that means to your tips is X, Y, and Z. So the higher check totals on $8.99, it's going to mean you're going to get a higher tip. It's going to create a better experience. That more experience is going to bring more people into the restaurant. Now, we only have to have better attitudes. You have the better attitudes, you're going to have more customers, smiling faces. So what questions do we have? I know I answered two. I see that that Lewis just asked a question saying, how did we get our statistics on those companies moving to the area and that average spend? Well, Wendover sister company Move My Biz is a company that engages prospects that are relocating their office. There's the number one source for clients that are moving. And we reach out to these companies. We do surveys. And in our latest survey, they are the statistics that we found. And most companies from our 30-plus year history tells us that a company will stay in their current state for 5 to 7 years. So if we just do that math that we did, it'll show you that $700,000 opportunity, and then just with those added add-ons. That was a very good question. I see another question here is, how do we go about engaging the new companies in the area? Well, that's a great question as well. There's several different marketing tips that you guys could use. Another one is knowing who your audience is. Who are you looking for? Are you looking for the person that's just going to come in one night a week, or are you going to be looking for people that have that budget to spend and bring their clients to as well? So focus in on who your ideal client is. Who's new to the area? And I see that you asked another question, how do we know who's new to the area without seeing a welcome sign? Well, As I mentioned, this is a no sales zone, but if you'd like to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to discuss a little bit more about what Wendover does and how we identify those growing companies. Um, but it is key to engage them early so that you can get a piece of that dining pie. And if you get that company, your employees are going to stay longer as well because they're going to have a positive attitude and they're going to be engaged. And the more that you engage them, the more likely that they're going to stay with you. So if there's not any other further questions, I thank you guys for your time today. I'm available via email at frank.craig@wendovercorp.com. We look forward to hosting another restaurant webinar series soon. Last question that I'll take here is, yes, this is being recorded, and we will send it out. So thank you guys very much for attending. We appreciate you guys being here today, and I hope you guys have a great day.